Good morning, all. I want to just talk to you about something right now. A Dr. Burzynski, and I'm going to just pull up Facebook article, a Facebook post that I made. And these kind of posts are the reason that I don't have a mainstream job right now, because if I apply for a job like the personal trainer job that I applied for a couple months ago when I have an exercise science degree, the first thing they do is they go on Facebook and they look at all my posts. And if I'm a negative person or whatever, they're not going to give me that job. And so here's a post that I put up yesterday referring to Dr. Burzynski, and these kind of statements are the reason that I don't have a job, and part of the reason that my family is financially destitute right now. And I'm going to get into that, and then I'm going to get into Dr. Burzynski, and then I'm going to get into what we all can do and what I really, really want to do with eating cultures. Okay, I posted this yesterday. If the FDA wasn't too busy trying to sue doctors like this who come up with non-toxic cancer treatments, perhaps my mother would have heard of this anti-neoplaston therapy when she went to MD Anderson for a third opinion in Texas. Instead, the government tried to steal this man's patents, throw him in jail, while handing out toxic treatments like the biological agent that killed my mother. Maybe not directly handing out the toxic treatments, but certainly endorsing them and facilitating them. Please read this article and learn that there is hope, however suppressed. Okay, those are the type of things that I put on Facebook all the time, and that's why I don't have a job. But you know what? I'm okay with that. I mean, I do have a job. I'm just not getting paid that much. It's Eating Cultures. And if you don't know who Dr. Burzynski is, please read the article that I'm going to post below off of Mercola.com. It's called Case Dismissed, Texas Ends 15-Year Fight Against Cancer, Dr. Burzynski. Or you can watch a movie. It's actually on Netflix. You can purchase it. It's called Burzynski, Cancer is Serious Business. And just to give you a short little spiel, Dr. Burzynski is a medical doctor and a biochemist. Biochemistry is something that's really interesting to me because that has a lot to do with nutrition. And he discovered that amino acids, just to give you a basic, I don't fully understand his research, but amino acids can turn off genes or turn on genes. And so he started getting a cancer patient, and he would run their genetic code and find out specifically what was going on with them and make these, if I understand this correctly, amino acids to go in and turn on and off these turn off the cancer tumor gene and turn on the cancer suppression genes. He then discovered that amino acids can actually act as genetic switches in the right combinations, and they're not just turning off the switches, but they can actually, become the switches, and which is like nutritional genomics, which is something that I would love to get a PhD in. The idea that you can affect your environment to change your gene expression. And so what happened was he developed his own essentially his own drug. And this has never happened before. And in this article by Dr. Mercola, there's a quote from a man named Dr. Richard Kraut, director of the FDA Bureau of Drugs, and this man said, "I never have and never will approve a new drug to an individual, but only to a large pharmaceutical firm with unlimited finances." Read this whole article, guys, because it's going to really, hopefully, help you to wake up. My mom died of cancer, and I started Eating Cultures as a tribute to her. She didn't have all the rights that she should have had, and that's a big concern for me. If someone has a terminal illness, they should be able to take whatever treatment they want. I don't care if it's smoking crack, okay? Which obviously is not a treatment. But if it might keep someone from dying, and really I'm referring to cannabis, they should be able to do that. Period. End of story. It's a right to life. It's called a right to life. And so in this case, it's a non-toxic treatment, and he has way better survival rates than regular conventional treatments. So the FDA just ran the gamut on this guy. They tried to have his medical license taken away. He has a patent on his treatment. The government ran a duplicate patent so that they could use it for their own benefit, but then arranged to, through these very just kind of ways, just read the article and watch the movie, to try to get this guy thrown out. Now, here's what I'm coming to you saying right now. I want to sue the FDA. Oh my gosh, I want to sue them. Do you know why I want to sue them? Because when my mom got diagnosed with cancer in 2006, she first had an opinion in Panama City, and then she had a second opinion at the Mayo Clinic, where they told her the exact same thing, because all these standards of care, all it really means is no choice in care. All it really means is it doesn't matter where you go, where you take your kid, where you take your mom, anywhere in the United States, they're only going to give you pretty much the same thing. You may find one doctor that'll do surgery when another won't, but that's about the extent of it. She went then to MD Anderson in Texas for a third opinion. She was in the same state as Dr. Burzynski back in 2006. She never heard of anti-neoplaston therapy. I never heard of anti-neoplaston therapy. And the reason why is because at the time he was still practicing, but he had been severely limited because of the FDA. They said that his treatment didn't fall within the standard of care. And so in order for someone to receive treatment from him, they had to go through the gamut of the standard of care first, which means chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. And I'm going to tell you, my mom only had radiation on her hands, and I couldn't even look at them. I couldn't even look at those wounds. It was so awful. She had chemotherapy, you know, and I can't even go back and look at photos of her now during that time. But what I do know is that somehow she survived on that chemotherapy for a very long time. So even then, she could have maybe possibly have gone and taken his treatment if she had heard about it. But there was an active suppression going on. And so I truly believe that my mother and perhaps thousands of other people are dead because of what the FDA did. So, you know, this guy, he didn't have any complaints from any patients. Okay? It's just like the Rick Simpson story, Run from the Cure, which is another movie you can buy. This guy was giving away hemp oil. He was making it out of cannabis, this pasty black stuff, giving a little tube to cancer patients that were given 3 days to live, and they were surviving. Giving it to them. He wasn't selling it. He's in prison, or what, I don't know if he's still in prison, ended up in prison, and this was in Canada. This guy, Simpson, had people standing at the courtroom ready to give testimony that they were alive because of him, and it was deemed irrelevant. So in Burzynski's case, finally it got thrown out. And do you want to know why it got thrown out? Finally? Because there's a freaking movie made about him, this Burzynski movie, and I think that that really has to do with educating this judge, or who knows, getting the word out there. So I think making these little videos I make, maybe it does do good, and maybe I should do a radio show and talk more about this. And I am starting nutrition classes. I'm in Principles of Human Nutrition and Microbiology right now, and I think I'm going to go for the research route, which would be an MS of nutrition, and I want to do a thesis on GMOs and how they affect people, and I'll be learning a lot of biochemistry, but what I really want is I want to sue the FDA. I want to sue them, and I want parents who've had children who've died of brain tumors that weren't allowed to get his treatment, which is specifically really good for glioma brain tumors. I want those people to be able to sue the FDA. I want that. And I don't know, maybe one day a lawyer will see this video and they'll say, that's a good idea, you know. I don't know. Okay, but this is me, Heather Davis, with Eating Culture, saying that people are dying because their right to life is being taken away by the FDA, and people like this Richard Kraut guy, that for some reason they think that a multi-million-dollar company that regularly publishes flawed studies, because they do their own studies and get their own approval through the FDA, which is ridiculous, because he thinks those companies are better. And they're not. They're not better. Dr. Burzynski is one man who miraculously overcame this. He's developed something that doesn't kill people, and it saves people that would have otherwise been dead. And why is he the one being suppressed? Why? Call me a conspiracy theorist, but sometimes maybe it is true that people that come up with really good ideas and patent them do end up in jail, and maybe their ideas do end up getting stolen, because that's exactly what was trying to be done to Dr. Burzynski. So I want to sue. I want to sue. Sue the FDA. If you know someone that died of cancer, of a tumor-type cancer, that didn't hear about Burzynski or wasn't allowed to take his treatment, then as far as I'm concerned, you fall into that category, and we should all sue, and we should all band together, and that's how I feel. I hope you all have a great day. They need to be held responsible for this. Yeah, keeping unsafe drugs off the market is their job, not keeping safe drugs off the market. That's not their job. And if a drug is already known to be safer than the standard of care, then what's really going on? What's really going on? Please wake up and buy a freaking juicer and stop eating GMOs, and don't be a victim to the medical system. Please don't be a victim. My mother trusted them. She took all the pills she was supposed to take her whole life, including antidepressants, which is why her nutritional therapy failed, because she got off all these drugs when she started juicing and taking amino acid supplements, ironically enough, and proteolytic enteric-coated enzymes that were helping to digest her tumor, and IP6 with inositol, and eating almonds and raw vegetables and steaming her meat instead of charring it, and all of that didn't work, because you know why? At the end, well, it did work. 4 tumors disappeared. But then finally, when she was getting better and better and she looked great, even though she was supposed to be dead 4 months ago, because the first 7 months, she didn't do any standard of care. She did a nutritional treatment. She had gotten down to 1 drug, and it was an antidepressant that's put on the market by the FDA and these giant companies that, you know, submit their own studies for their own approval. And when she quit it cold turkey against my advice, she lost it up here, and she wouldn't eat for 3 days. And you know what happened? She passed out from low blood sugar, which it could have been far worse, quitting an antidepressant like that cold turkey. Don't ever do that. She passed out from low blood sugar when they were drawing blood at the doctor, and the doctor took that as an opportunity to say, oh, it's the cancer, and it's now or never with the chemo. And that's when she went with the chemo, because her brain wasn't functioning right, because she quit that antidepressant cold turkey. She wasn't able to make that good decision. And from that moment on, she was purchasing her death, and she was consuming her death through these drugs. And I saw it. And one day I will compose a good thing with photos and evidence, and I've got access to some of her medical records, and I can prove all of this to you. One day I will, if you'll subscribe. But I just don't want you to be a victim. I'm not saying don't go to a doctor. I'm saying if your doctor doesn't understand about nutrition, then he better refer you, or you better find someone else. If your doctor thinks that drugs are the answer and that nature is inferior, then you need to find someone else. And that is within my scope, because I'm trained as a health fitness specialist, and I'm supposed to refer people to people that are appropriate. And I think that a doctor that thinks that chemistry is going to make our life better and that nature is inferior is not going to help you. Let's put it that way. You'll end up dead. I love you all. Please subscribe if you're a scientist, if you're a lawyer, if you care. I don't care if I don't have money right now. I just want to sue the freaking FDA. I just want to sue the pants off of them. Can you help me?